right, is there anyone that I can help join a breakout room? And if you're in a room with your people, you probably don't need to join a room because you're right there with them. I'm gonna go on mute for just a minute, and then I'll be right back.
Hey, Melissa. We may want to pause the recording until the breakout sessions are done, just so we don't have everyone listening to us now.
All right, we are all coming back. Wonderful. Just so good to see everyone. Oh, I see great things in the chat. I see active listening seems to be a popular one. Be asset minded. Those seem to be two pretty popular ones. Thank you. Be present. Thank you for picking the norm that your team wants to work on today, and mostly getting into our Canvas course and seeing where all of the assignments and everything are. That will be helpful to you today. Thank you for being here, my friends. If you would take just 30 seconds to click on the Google form and fill it out to show that you're present today. My office assistant might not strangle me like last time when I forgot. So it would be very helpful for me and my life situation if I was done. So take just 30 seconds, it won't take long. I will also re-put the slide deck into chat in case anyone needs it. Hey, I'm going to be the favorite specialist of my office assistant now, or at least not on the hit list. So thank you, everyone. Okay, while you're finishing that up, the structure of our institute is we want to build a vision and an action plan from foundational documents, and we want to do this as a team. We looked at the STEM to the fourth paper, we looked at the STEM culture rubric. We're going to dig deeper into the STEM to the fourth paper today. And then each session will focus on an aspect of the culture. Today, we're going to look at the first principle in the STEM to the fourth paper and really have breakouts that focus on that. Gain stakeholder buy-in, develop a system of supports, which we'll do through networking this morning. We have consulting coaches that are amazing resources for our team. So we're grateful to have them here today, and they'll be working with all the teams. And then this idea of Noster's model, what do we need to have in order for new initiatives to be successful? And those ideas are built into your action plan. Also, towards the end of the Institute, we'll look at what's our timeline for implementing our action plan. So just a refresher of what we did in day one. We looked at a vision for STEM. We looked at the STEM culture rubric. You created a visual representation of your idea of STEM in your situation. Then you wrote your vision statement. After that, we talked about how to succeed implementing new initiatives, or the Noster's model, which we built into our action plan and our goals. And we're going to work on refining those each day as we gain more understanding. And then we looked at who are our stakeholders and why are they important. So that was day one in a 10-second glance. Now we're going to look at our agenda for today. We'll start with networking, and then we're going to dig into principle one from the STEM to the fourth paper as to what effective STEM cultures have in them, embedded in them. You'll have 2 breakout rooms to choose from. So coaches and administrators, you will be in the same room the whole time working together. Everyone else, you will have 3 options to choose 2 breakout rooms. It'll be an hour long where you can get more information about effective tier 1 instruction. So you can choose your own adventure today. If you're an administrator or a coach, you're choosing your adventure together. So that is your option. We'll have lunch when we come back. We'll work in teams to debrief about what did we learn in all of our sessions. How does that affect our STEM vision and our action plan? And then we'll end the day with Nate helping us think through our stakeholders again and how we get them all on board and move forward. So that is our day in a glance. We're going to start with networking. I'm going to, let's see how many people, we have 46 participants. Maybe we'll do 9 breakout rooms. So we've got those. I'm going to recreate and assign automatically. Okay, so I'm going to assign you to a breakout room. Hopefully you're with some different people. This is a chance for you to really actively listen. And in your breakout rooms, you're going to get to share for our team, what is our STEM vision? What's our action plan so far? And for our stakeholders, this should give you a chance to see what other teams are thinking. There is a note-taking page that you can click on to say, what do I want to remember that maybe we might want to put in ours when we meet at 1 o'clock, okay? So this is a chance to share as much as you can. Please have cameras on so people know who you are in those small breakout rooms. Please let me know if there's any issues. We will spend 15 minutes in breakout rooms. Does anyone have a question about what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes? We okay? Thumbs up, you okay? All right, it is 9:23. We'll come back I'll call you back at about 9:38. I'm going to open up all the rooms. So enjoy sharing from others and getting to know other teams. I'll see you soon. Enjoy your time.
Hey, Melissa, I have a logistics question really quick. It seems like last time we had stuff in a Google folder. Am I right? I'm trying to remember where we put all
It's all in our Canvas course.
It's all in the Canvas course. Okay, just so my people can go back. That's
yes,
where
they can access it all from week 1. I should have brought that up, Candace.
Okay, no, it's okay. I was just trying to remember. I said, I know we did all this work. Where is it? And for some reason, I couldn't remember that it was in the Canvas course. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Specialists, you can choose to join or hang out here. It's up to you.
I'm just happy I have a camera going.
You do. You're not Casper anymore.
It was really funny. As I was like trying to get things going, I was like pressing every button in the book. When I finally got it going, I was upside down. Like it was, I'm like, I don't know what I did, but I'm going to fix that. Oh, we're recording still, by the way. I hope that's okay.
Being recorded.
Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you were able to get some ideas and hear what other people are thinking and doing, what their ideas for their STEM vision are and their action plan, and who their stakeholders are. It's always good to get more perspectives so that you can make sure that you really have been in what you're doing. We are going to move to our first kind of major portion of the day. We're going to look at the STEM to the 4th paper, the first principle. We read this last time and it talks about 3 principles that are evident in effective STEM cultures. The first one talks about the idea that STEM education should advance the learning of each individual STEM discipline. That's going to be our focus for today. The second principle talks about this idea that STEM education should provide logical and authentic connections between and across STEM disciplines. That is what we'll focus on next session. A national STEM presenter is coming to talk to us about that. And then the third principle talks about that STEM education should serve as a bridge to STEM careers. And we have organizations from across the state, and you'll have about 5 different breakout rooms to choose from on that day of our institute. So lots of great things that we're heading into. Like I said, today we're focusing on the first principle. You can access it by clicking on this link. I'm going to put back into the chat the slide deck, and we are on slide 19. So you can access this article. What we're reading is on pages 3 and 4, principle 1, the section part, and then the table. You will also need to access and ever do this assignment 2A. So you can click on that link. It looks like this right here. And in the next 5 minutes, we're going to be reading those 2 short clips about effective tier 1 instruction, our principle 1. And if you think about what is this principle about and how does this affect what should be present in a STEM culture. So you can either access it through this article or the next 2 slides, 20 and 21, are those clips so that you wouldn't even need to access the article if you didn't want. So take about 3 minutes, it won't take very long, to read these two parts and then answer those 2 questions in assignment 2. Okay, it's 9:41. At 9:44, we'll come back and discuss. Okay, take about 30 more seconds to kind of finish up reading and thinking about what insights you're having. Okay, my friends, hopefully you have this idea about what this principle is about from your reading and thinking about why might we need to consider this for our STEM culture. You'll be taking these notes with you when you meet with your team at 1 o'clock, but I'm wondering if you would put in the chat, what was insightful to you or what stood out to you in small words, small phrases, what stood out to you about this first principle? What was insightful? Oh, apparently LastPass wants to be updated. We'll go back. So type what you found insightful into the chat. Oh, I'm seeing lots of rich learning experiences, hands-on, student-centered, where students are sense-making is much more effective than just lecture and rote practice. Finding solutions to authentic problems, what's real in the student's world and context. Wonderful. I think you're going to see these ideas today when you go to your breakout rooms. You're going to find that what you're learning are the effective tenets of instruction for these different individual disciplines contain these ideas about all students can be successful. We need to have high expectations for everyone. Everyone deserves the opportunities to be able to have rich science classes and rich math classes where they're really thinking and sense making. So I want you to really think about, in our context, as we go into choosing these breakout rooms, what would help me be able to really support our team's vision and action plan? What breakout rooms will give me better understanding to be able to support effective tier 1 outcomes? So we're going to have 2 breakout sessions. Coaches and administrators and consulting coaches, you will go to breakout room 1 and you'll stay there. You'll be with Rachel for the full 2 hours and she'll run that. All right. So your adventure is chosen, but it's a good one. Everyone else, you can choose breakout room 2, 3, or 4 when we open the rooms up. And 2 is science and engineering. If you want to learn more about high quality instruction in science and engineering, or 3 is math, and 4 is digital teaching and learning. We have amazing content specialists here to support you in all of those areas. Really, like I say, be thinking about, what do I want to gain from this? What can I take back to the team? Which is where you'll be in assignment 2B. You have in session A, what you want to take back, how that might affect your action plan or your vision, and insights from session B. You'll spend an hour in your first breakout room. You'll have a break until 11 o'clock. Then from 11 to 12, you'll choose your second breakout room that you would like to be in. Then you'll have lunch from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. We'll all meet back here together at 1 o'clock. All right. So this is a choose your own adventure for the rest of the morning. What will help you learn the most and be the best support for your team? Administrators and coaches, you will go to room 1. That is your adventure. Do we have any questions about where you will be? Okay, I'm going to open up all the rooms. Be nice to the presenters. Treat them well. I owe them big time, so treat them well. Have a great time. They're amazing. Here go the rooms. I will see everyone back here at 1 o'clock, or if you need help, I'll be here as well. Okay, have a great adventure. Okay, my friends, your 30-second warning. All right, everyone, welcome back. We are on the final push in the afternoon. I know it's been a rigorous day. We've done a lot of great things. And I'm so proud of you for all your hard work. So we're going to finish out the day talking about a really, really critical topic. And Nate is going to lead us through that. He's amazing. So I'm going to turn the time over to Nate.
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, I'm excited to spend some time again today talking about this idea of stakeholder feedback or buy-in. So during day one, we started across our teams to identify what some stakeholders that we would want to have seats at the table, what those groups might look like. And so there was a conversation with regards to who needs to be there and what purpose does it serve to include them? What opportunities do their voice provide? Does their voice provide? And so today, we're going to kind of move in that progression from the why are we including these stakeholders to how are we including these stakeholders? And so there's a number of different ways to incorporate stakeholder input. And sometimes we have this tendency to kind of think in historically relevant terms, like, oh, we've always used surveys. So surveys are the only opportunity that we have to start to include stakeholder buy-in and input. But there's actually a lot of different types of opportunities. And so I want to talk a little bit about that and then give you the lion's share of this time to jump into your groups to have those conversations with regards to your community. But before we get there, I would love if folks could share some stakeholder groups that came up as a part of your conversations that you had not thought of before you had those conversations last time. So there's the students, there's the teachers, there's the administrators or school leaders. Like those are ones that always are part of the conversation. But then there's a lot of other stakeholders that we talked about last time, both as a big group and then also within your smaller groups. Any stakeholder groups of note that someone had not thought of before those conversations? As I mentioned last time, I have excellent wait time. Thank you, Jesse. Community partners, great. And that's a pretty big one, right? It could be organizations, it could be industry, it could be nonprofits, it could be a number of different kind of connections to community. Awesome. Anything else? I know at a systems-wide perspective, incorporating families into that conversation is something that not everyone always thinks about. Holly, that's a great one. Jamie, like mentioning parents, as well as our higher ed partners, and not just like maybe the higher ed partners that have an institution of higher education within our community, but also potentially our higher ed ed-focused partners that are training the teachers that are going to be parts of our ecosystems in the future. There's opportunities to incorporate them into the conversation so that there's this coherent progression of information from the teacher training experience, like directly into your community. Local government, that's a great one, Chris. There's opportunities to kind of inform whether it's city council with regards to ed circumstances, your district legislators, all kinds of opportunities within the government space. Yeah, so Lakeview talks about technology companies and Silicon Slopes. All of a sudden, there's like all of these home bases of companies that are nationally recognized and known, and they're a 30-minute drive south of the city, or maybe they're right in your community if you're down in those parts. So yeah, like being intentional about incorporating, like understanding what stakeholders exist and then incorporating them into the process, as we talked about last time, is really crucial to the success of a process and prevents you from having to kind of walk backwards because you forgot to ensure that someone's voice was either included to begin with, or that some of the insights that they share later on in the process means that you have to revise the work that you've done. So as we kind of transition into this how question, I wanted to talk a little bit about what this looks like a little bit outside of the box. So Melissa, or whoever's running the slides, we can go to the next slide. I think that, like, when it comes to incorporating stakeholders into a process, it's actually, there's some kind of parallels to formative assessment. And when we think about formative assessments in the educational space, we think about like these formal opportunities where we give a student an exit ticket at the end of the day, or engage them in a near-pod activity right at the end. And then we incorporate what we learn about what students learned from that day into our lesson for the next day. But then there's also these other informal opportunities that we can engage in. If we're just walking around a room when groups of students are working on a task, we have the opportunity to ask them questions and talk to them. And their answers inform us about what that student knows and gives us opportunities to incorporate their knowledge into the instruction and into the overall class kind of infrastructure. And stakeholder feedback is really similar. So there's the really formal ways that we frequently talk about with regards to surveys, community nights where we're asking specific questions and we give people an opportunity to respond. But then there's also a lot of informal opportunities that we can create and even braid with other, like, larger community or STEM events that allows us to kind of feed two birds with one stone, so to speak. So the question isn't, are we going to use formal or informal? It's in what ways are we using both formal and informal opportunities to incorporate stakeholder feedback and voice into the process? Because here's what the progression looks like. Stakeholder feedback, like when you give stakeholders voice, then when you actually roll out an initiative, they can find a place within that initiative. If they don't have voice to begin with, then they can't find a home with, like, there's a good opportunity or a good possibility that they won't be able to find a home within that initiative once it's established. And so ensuring stakeholders have voice to begin with is crucial to the success of an initiative, as well as ensuring a kind of consistent acceleration of that initiative into your action items that you kind of have planned. So with that said, we're going to take the next 15 minutes or so. We'll jump back here at maybe 40 after, so that we can share a few ahas before we jump into our closing segments for the day. So you'll see within the Canvas course that assignment number 4 for day 2 is related to this process of how. You'll identify your stakeholder groups, and there's also a link, obviously, in your Canvas course to the assignment from day 1. If you don't remember all the different stakeholder groups that you mentioned, you can transfer those stakeholder groups to this assignment, day 2, and then identify the ways that you're going to incorporate their input into your overall process. So before we jump into breakout rooms, questions, comments, concerns about what your task looks like. Oh, one other thing before we go to questions, make sure that you have submitted assignment 1 if you have not already done so. That can be also done on the Canvas course. And then as we're going through this process, I'll try to remind you at the end of this space, but we're going to be in heterogeneous breakout rooms during day 3 in order to share these kind of feedback buy-in strategies that we're identifying within this activity across different groups. Questions, comments, concerns on this task?
Okay, Nate, you want me to open up all the breakout rooms again then? We ready to move?
Awesome. Melissa, we have until 2:45 scheduled for this, right? Okay,
Yep. And then it's just the closing.
yeah. Cool. Then Melissa, if you're in charge of breakout rooms, if you wouldn't mind bringing us out at 2:40.
I'll make sure I do that.
Okie dokie. Anything I missed?
No, you did. I mean, you always do a great job. So
Cool.
you.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into number 6.
Cool. I'll just be hanging out here.
Day 4, I'll let you know. So if you would be so kind to jump into the chat and kind of identify, as you were brainstorming some ways to get either formal or informal buy-in and feedback from stakeholders, what type of things came up? I'm interested to know what some thoughts were. Maybe you want to use a podcast, a newly published podcast, to inform your community. I have a little bit of availability as a host, if need be. Let me know.
You have a great podcast voice, Nathan.
Thanks, Jessica.
I'll start us off really quick. We it was kind of nice. We really just did an audit of what we currently have in place that some of us had forgotten about, but still exists. So that was nice just to brainstorm some of those systems, things that are scheduled. For example, we have principal leadership meetings once a month. Those are good at times where we're face-to-face with our principals and we can get feedback, input, or deliver information. So that was a good one. Another was we have, and I think other districts do as well, we have what we call the Canyons Foundation. They're a public relations arm of our district. And they have really great connections with community partners in industry, along with Patty, our CTE specialist. And so that's something that we can lean on to connect with people that, for example, I don't normally have conversations with or get input from. So utilizing some of the resources we already have.
That's super powerful, Jesse. There's an author named Jim Collins that once said something along the lines of, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have no priorities. And I think that kind of extends to like new initiatives. As you're trying to like get an initiative off the ground, if you're not leveraging all of the opportunities that already exist and you're trying to build new structures across like the entire community, the activation energy goes up very, very quickly. But when you can find overlap with structures that have already been established, they already have momentum and they're kind of self-governing so that you don't have to remember and facilitate, like there's so much power in finding that overlap. Thanks for sharing, Jesse. Other thoughts? It looks like Allison threw in informal interviews, focus groups, and informal conversations. Awesome. Thanks for those shares, Allison. Community sponsors for field trips and guest presenters. We also look for parents in fields that pertain to our standards to come and interact with us. Oh, that's a cool idea, Lakeview, is looking for that kind of specific connectivity with part of your parent population. We also have a board that have students in our school and they are invited to all of our activities. We didn't mention specifically school boards, but that's an important one. We talked about local governments and maybe school boards could be considered part of that, but incorporating school boards is another important one. Rural schools can use local radio. I love that, Sarah. That's awesome. I can't wait. Yeah, and again, as a radio show host, I'm also trying to get into that realm. So Sarah, if you need anyone, I'm also available for local radio shows. I would love to hear an educational like blurb on a radio as I was driving through Iron County. That would be super fun. Awesome.
You will. We do them every week. Come on through.
Okay. All right. I'll text you next time I'm coming through and see if I can catch one. That'd be super awesome. Awesome. Well, obviously, this conversation isn't over yet. With regards to kind of trying to flesh out some of these responses, we're seeking March 17th, I think is day 3, Melissa. Did I get that right? Awesome. So if you could shoot to have some more input into that document by March 17th, get her uploaded into Canvas, that would be most appreciated. And I will kick it over to Melissa to take us home.
Thanks,
Signing
Nate.
off. This is Nathan Ock.
We're just gonna give him the script from now on. You can just do all of our parts with your podcast voice. It'll be great. Okay, so in closing, we've had quite the day today. So our learning intentions for today were to participate in professional learning related to the creation of effective STEM ecosystems. And we looked specifically at the idea of effective tier 1 instruction. And now we've been talking about this idea of stakeholders and the important role they play and how we can get them on board. We also spent some time refining our vision statement and our action plan to incorporate maybe some deeper ideas from what we learned today. So those were the learning intentions that we focused on today. So you'll know if you were successful, your team, if you actively participated in those learning activities today, and if you refined your vision statement and your action plan and got it maybe a little bit further down the road today. And now if you're thinking about, what's our plan for our stakeholder feedback, that's going to be part of your intercession work. So that will be due when you come back for session 3 on March 17th. So you'll want to make sure you turn it in. You'll turn it in on March 17th. Be ready to have each member of your team share in our networking. We'll start with networking, going over this idea of your stakeholder plan and how that's progressing, and also thinking about some of the tweaks you made to your vision statement and your action plan. Okay, so my friends, in closing, if you would just take a few minutes and fill out this Qualtrics survey so that we can get good feedback about today, and that will help us refine the Institute for you. I really, really appreciate your hard work, and I'm giving jazz hands to the rest of the STEM Institute team. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Oh, yay, Jesse, yay, Joy. They did jazz hands. I love that. So, and thank you all for all of your hard work. Hey, thanks, Raymond. We love the jazz hands. So take a few minutes to fill out the Qualtrics survey. We will be back again on March 17th from 9 to 3, and we'll start out with our networking share from our stakeholder assignment. All right. So thank you. Thank you. Please know that you can email me or anyone on our STEM Institute team at any point. We appreciate you, and we're so excited for what's happening in your schools and districts. So thanks for being here, my friends, and coaches. Major jazz hands.
I need to talk to her.
Thanks, everyone.
You guys.
Thanks all.
Hey, Melissa, quick question.
Yes.
Do we need to submit another reimbursement form from today?
For your substitutes, yes.
Can you